Welcome to the Open to Hope show. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Horsley, with my daughter and co-host,
Dr. Heidi Horsley.
Well, today, Heidi, we're going to talk about a topic that's dear to my heart, and that's helping the police families who have had a loss. And my dad was a policeman. He was chief of police in my small town, and he was also an MP in the Navy, and he was United States Marshal of Utah while I was growing up. So the police have been very near and dear to my heart, and all the wonderful work they do to protect us. And there's a great organization that has been started to help police families.
Yes, we are going to talk with Dennis Jones, who is the Executive Director of C.O.P.S. And C.O.P.S. stands for Concerns of Police Survivors. And we're going to talk to him more about supporting cops and their families, Mom.
Good. Hey, Dennis.
Hello,
Dennis.
how are you? How you doing?
Great to have you on the show. Now, you've been a police officer, right? Tell us about that.
Yes, well, I was a police officer in the NYPD for 25 years.
Wow.
Worked all over the city and retired in 2009.
All right.
That's amazing. Thank you for your service, by the way.
Absolutely. Now, you probably saw fellow officers and friends who died in the service?
Yes, yes, tragedies that have struck us. I know when I retired, there was at least 25 officers that were killed in the line of duty during the time that I served.
Wow.
Of course, the 9/11 officers, and then prior to that and a little after. Well, I know that there was never any support for the officers, but as far as the families are concerned, you always felt and always wanted to believe that they were getting as much help as possible. The one thing that the police department always says is that we'll never forget. And we tell that to the families, and we hope that they feel that sincerity behind it, because we want to back it up. And this organization, the Concerns of Police Survivors, we do so. We back that up, and we make sure that we're with these families forever. Yes.
So the fact that you're telling them, look, we're never going to forget, and we're also going to stay with you forever. And I was just wondering, you mentioned 9/11, and we are here in New York City. How many police officers died on 9/11?
Well, in the NYPD, we lost 23 police officers. There was a number of officers lost from the Port Authority also, and then we had officers that were lost in Nassau and Suffolk. But the thing that's still happening now is that we're losing officers consistently from the effects of 9/11. Been an absorbent number of officers that have passed since 9/11 from the effects of 9/11. Make sure that we're out there during these trials, which is probably the most intense part, because they have to sit through and hear all of the documentation relative to the death, and then through the parole hearings as they come up. Recently in New York, we've had a lot of cases where the perpetrator was not given parole.
You're there when it hurts.
Yeah, constantly. There's always something that'll trigger that hurt, that'll trigger that grief coming back. So we're aware of it, because of course our organization is made up of spouses, children, grandparents, parents, siblings, and then so we're able to pair the families together. We're able to pair someone who's had a death 5 or 10 years ago to someone this is a new case, and deal with each family level. Because as you know, once there's a death, there's a rippling effect that goes on, because it attaches itself to every single family member, every single friend, every single person in their lives, and of course the coworkers.
And not everyone wants to get involved. I know with my friend's family, the son is very involved, but the daughter doesn't want to be involved at all. So, they've got these people who are kind of on their own doing these things.
And you have that in families, but, at some point in time that might just happen. We have people grieving after 40 years.
Yeah.
And we're able to maybe get in and talk to them and try to bring them some sort of closure.
I like that. And, I worked at the FDNY for 10 years after 9/11, and the thing that people would say from the outside was, well, they had firefighters. Didn't they eventually expect them to die? It's a dangerous job. And I said, no. Even though you are a police officer or a firefighter, they've been trained well, and you just don't expect somebody to die on the job, even though there is some risk. And I imagine these families didn't expect their loved ones to die.
They always believe that they're going to come home, and they always expect them to come home, and the officers, they believe the same. And when that tragedy strikes, it's always a shock to everyone.
I would think that the police would love the fact that you're doing this for the families, so do you get good support?
We
from
get
it?
great support from our police departments in the area, and this is the Metro New York chapter, so we just launched this chapter about a little over 2 years ago in 2012, and we have some of the biggest departments in the country that are existing here, the NYPD, of course, and Nassau and Suffolk County.
Right,
So.
right. I love the volunteer idea because it's so great to support our police
Yes.
by having volunteers to continue, because they can't, go in and help, every single family member forever.
Correct.
And you're sitting there, being able to help them. Wonderful organization. Now, who got inspired to start it here?
Well,
and it's the national offices
It's a national,
in Ohio
yeah,
or something,
it's
isn't
a
it?
national organization, and it was started by like-minded women, widows, in 1984. So it's about 30 years old now, and we started the Metro New York chapter here in New York in 2012. And of course, New York State is the third highest in deaths, in police deaths.
And about how many are there a year?
On an average across the country, there's approximately about 140 to 160 police officers killed in the line of duty. We have camps that are, again, situated for each level or each situation. We have kids, young and older kids. We have spousal camps. We have grandparents and all the extended families, siblings, and then also co-workers camp. So we try to get the police officers to come out and because they go through the same scenario. They're grieving just as anybody else, but they have to go back to work.
Right.
And they have to go back to work immediately. So we run these camps so that we can help them out also.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to show a roll-in of your organization.
In 1984, a few visionaries, armed with little more than caring hearts, creative minds, and an iron will to meet important needs unfulfilled, started Concerns of Police Survivors. That first year, C.O.P.S had 110 members. Today, that number stands at over 15,000 families. The spouses, children, parents, siblings, in-laws, fiancés, significant others, and affected co-workers of officers killed in the line of duty. For 25 years, Concerns of Police Survivors has been the only organization offering unique, multifaceted, hands-on programs to these survivors, helping to rebuild their shattered lives. Each group has a program designed especially for them, and they are surrounded by others who have experienced a similar loss and are dealing with, or have already dealt with, many of the same issues. All these programs allow time to socialize and build friendships. There is time for counseling, both in group or individual if requested. And each retreat has an outdoor recreational element to relax the mind, challenge the body, and lift the spirit. And the children survivors have their own place, C.O.P.S Kids Camp and Outward Bound. The services provided don't end there. There are scholarships for education, support during trial and at parole hearings, and training. The regional and state C.O.P.S chapters, who work on the local level with survivors and the law enforcement community. We know, unfortunately, that each year on average, another 140 to 160 law enforcement officers will lose their lives in the line of duty. Their families will join the ranks of the survivors and become part of the growing numbers of the C.O.P.S family.
And it never ends. And we will stay with these families because the families continue to move, continue to grow.
And thanks for watching this show today. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Horsley, with my co-host, Dr. Heidi Horsley, and this show is brought to you by the Open to Hope Foundation in partnership with the Elizabeth Kubler-Ross Foundation. Heidi and I always like to say, if you've lost hope, lean on ours till you find your own, and God bless.